Hey everyone, and welcome. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me for this explainer today. We are going to be decoding a sensory superpower that you use every single day, probably without even thinking about it. We're going to build a really wholesome, ground-up understanding of exactly how the human body processes sweetness. If you're the kind of person who loves knowing how things actually work under the hood, you are definitely in for a treat.
But, before we dive into the deep biology of it all, I want to pose a question to you. Where does sweetness actually live? Think about it. When you put a spoonful of sugar in your mouth, is the sweetness just sitting right there, inside the sugar crystals, waiting to be found? It's a really common preconception to think that way, but as we're about to see, the real answer is far more fascinating.
So here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the illusion of sweetness. Second, the mouth's detection system. Third, the brain's interpretation. And finally, number 4, we'll put together the full sweetness chain.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the illusion of sweetness. We really need to completely dismantle this myth that our tongues just passively find flavors lying around in our food. The old way of thinking basically treats sweetness like a label slapped onto a box of sugar. But in reality, sweetness is not an inherent trait of sugar at all. No way! It is an active interpretation. It's this incredibly complex message that your body literally has to build from scratch every single time you take a bite. Think about it kind of like a traffic light at a super busy intersection. The signal itself organizes what happens next. The red, yellow, and green lights, they don't cause the cars to exist, right? And they certainly aren't the whole traffic system. They are just cues. In the exact same way, sugar just provides a cue, but the sweetness itself is the organized response that your body actively creates.
Okay, moving right along to Section 2, the mouth's detection system. Let's look at the hardware.
So zooming in on the actual hardware of this signal chain. A lot of people imagine the mouth as this neutral landing pad where food just drops in and is magically found. But actually, your tongue is covered in these highly tuned sensors. On one side, you have the sugar molecule with its very specific shape and chemistry, and on the other, you have the receptor on your tongue. These taste cells aren't just looking for any random thing. They are meticulously tuned to detect very specific chemical patterns.
Because here's the irreducible truth of it all. Taste begins with detection, not with experience. Before sweet can ever become a feeling in your mind, something purely physical has to happen first. Think of a smoke alarm. A smoke alarm doesn't actually know what a fire is, and it definitely doesn't know what a dessert is. It only reacts when specific particles hit its sensors. Well, your taste cells work exactly the same way.
So your body responds to shape and fit, not to names or labels. A sugar molecule isn't recognized because it's called sugar. It's recognized because it physically fits into the receptor. It is exactly like a charging cable fitting perfectly into a port on your phone. The phone doesn't care what brand the cable is, right? It just cares if that physical connection is made.
And this builds into a really precise biological chain reaction. Step 1, the molecule arrives. Step 2, the receptor activates. Step 3, the taste cell fires off a signal. And Step 4, the brain interprets it. The receptor itself isn't sweetness. It's just the trigger. Imagine walking up to a house and pressing a doorbell. Pressing the button doesn't create the sound all by itself. The wiring, the power, and the speaker inside do all of that. Sugar is just pressing the doorbell.
And here is a kind of wild fact to keep in mind. If every single molecule you put in your mouth triggered a taste, it would be absolute chaos. A successful detection system actually works by excluding almost everything. Sort of like a really strict security check at an airport, your mouth actively filters out the noise to find only the specific patterns that actually matter for your survival.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the brain's interpretation. This is where the software takes over.
All right, we've covered the hardware in the mouth. Now let's talk about the software. Your brain is not just a passive video camera recording whatever the tongue says. It acts as this rapid-fire evaluator. The millisecond that signal hits, your brain runs through a checklist. Is this safe? Is this useful? Is this worth paying attention to? Sweetness is essentially the brain's way of shouting, yes, this is an energy-rich food and we need energy to survive.
Because your brain is literally always trying to keep you alive, sweetness is actually a prediction. It's a forecast based on your past experiences. Imagine opening up a generic white bakery box. Even before you take a single bite, just seeing a familiar frosted shape triggers an expectation in your mind. The brain uses these biological shortcuts to save time. It uses the sugar signal to quickly forecast that a big reward of energy is on the way.
And since sweetness is an interpretation, it's highly comparative.
Context completely changes how sweet something feels. Think about it. If you have a hot, sweetened beverage right after eating a super rich, heavy meal, the sweetness you perceive isn't just about the sugar in the cup. It's heavily influenced by what you tasted just before, how hungry you are right now, what you expect it to taste like, and how that signal compares to other lingering flavors.
Okay, let's test this out. If you've been tracking with me on this whole detection system thing, you should absolutely be able to answer this. Why do artificial sweeteners taste sweet even if they contain zero actual sugar?
Well, the answer is right there in the system itself. The brain doesn't directly see sugar. It just receives signals. The brain is only asking one thing. Does this signal fit my sweetness pattern? If an artificial molecule happens to have the exact right shape to plug into the tongue's receptor and trigger that specific pathway, the brain is going to interpret the result as sweet anyway. It's all about pattern recognition, not ingredient labels.
Let's bring this all home in Section 4, the full sweetness chain. Let's put all these moving parts together step by step. At the molecule level, sugar reaches the tongue, meaning something chemical is simply present. Then, at the receptor level, the sensor is activated because the detection system noticed a physical fit. Next, at the nerve level, a signal zips up to the brain carrying the message. And finally, at the brain level, the signal is interpreted and the body assigns it the meaning and value of sweetness.
So if we had to boil it all down into one clean definition, here it is. Sweetness is what happens when a chemical fits the body's sweet detection system and the brain turns that signal into meaning. You no longer have to just say, well, sugar is sweet because it just is. You actually understand the profound mechanics working behind the curtain.
Which leaves us with this really profound takeaway. The body does not simply report the world, it interprets it. The next time you sit down to enjoy your favorite dessert, I really want you to appreciate that incredible invisible chain reaction happening in real time inside of you. And it makes you wonder, right? What other senses do you think your body is interpreting rather than just reporting? Think about that for a while. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating system with me today in this explainer. Keep asking questions, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.